Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Amazon Web Services Cloud Storage Virtual Summit event. This is our fourth webinar in our Cloud Storage series today. My name is Sherry Sullivan. I'm with the AWS Partner Marketing Team here in Seattle. I'm pleased today to introduce to you Noam Shender, a VP of Business Development, and Doug Jury, VP of Sales with Zadara Storage. They are our AWS Advanced Technology Partner who will share insights over the next 45 minutes on the topic of enterprise-class cloud block storage as a service. Please feel free to submit any questions during the presentation, and Noam and Doug will take a few moments at the end of the session as time allows to respond. Without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Doug and Noam.
Thank you very much, Sherry. Hello, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon, depending where you are. I'm Noam Shender, just so you can recognize my voice. And
I'm Doug Jury, the VP of Sales here at Zadara, and we're going to team up today and hopefully give you some great information.
Thanks, Doug. So this is Noam again, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about us and about the cloud storage market as context. So let me jump right into it. Zadara is, though it is a startup that was founded last year, it's a team that's worked together for over 10 years. In fact, we've been together now for 13 years, the entire time providing enterprise storage, and specifically with competencies in storage, data protection, virtualization, storage area networks, and so forth. We have been funded to date with $7 million in investments, and so with the solutions that I'll be describing to you with Doug's help today has seen a high adoption by software as a service companies. Just to help position where we are in the grander scheme of enterprise storage, a little bit of a you are here mall map, if you will. There are many, many storage offerings out there in the enterprise space, and what sets Zadara apart is the fact that we're a pure software solution running on standard hardware. That's important because there's no expensive hardware standing or sitting behind what we do. That's very similar to the Amazon Web Services approach, and it allows both of us to offer affordable services. Also, we provide enterprise storage as a service. That means it is elastic, which means it can grow and shrink based on demand. It's charged by the hour with no commitment, again, very much like the Amazon Web Services model. And despite being software only and as a service, provides very high performance and very low latency, as you would expect from enterprise-grade storage. The reason that we are providing enterprise-grade storage in the public cloud, and specifically at Amazon Web Services, is that we believe there are a lot of applications that have stayed away from the cloud because the storage was not up to snuff in terms of supporting those traditional applications like databases, SQL or Oracle, also for high-end enterprise features like application clustering or operating system failover clustering, and potentially also because of concerns about security. And so what we've done is we've provided what we term private storage in the public cloud, providing all the benefits of traditional on-premise storage, except it's at Amazon Web Services, which is visible and connectable to VMs at Amazon Web Services, and it's very flexible and is provided as a service. So, as Bill's background on the company, let me talk a little bit more about the landscape before we get to more details about the product itself. So in terms of orienting types of storage, in the world of storage, there are three types of storage you've probably heard about or run into. There's object storage, file storage, and block storage. And object storage was made particularly famous by Amazon Web Services S3 product, which is particularly good for static content. It allows files to be moved into the cloud and moved out of the cloud very easily. It's not easily changeable. And this is where we do not play, where we see a need for additional capabilities is in the file and block areas, which is where traditional enterprise storage lives. And there are, of course, existing products at Amazon Web Services to deal with block storage. These include EBS, Elastic Block Store, and the provisioned IOPS EBS, and I'll touch on those in a second in the next slide. What I want to stress on this slide is we uniquely provide file-based storage, also called NAS, using a protocol NFS. And in addition, we provide some unique capabilities around block storage to exceed what EBS and provisioned IOPS EBS can provide. So a little map to have to, if you become a fan of maps, a little map to navigate the various types of block storage available at Amazon Web Services. And I've put this along two axes, the availability, whether it's high or low, and the performance. And you can see at the bottom right, EBS, which is a high availability service, but in general, it didn't provide high performance. It doesn't provide particularly high performance. It also doesn't provide very much performance consistency. EBS recently announced a fantastic service called provisioned IOPS EBS, which addresses both of those. So it is much higher performance than EBS, and also very consistent in terms of performance. On the low availability, which doesn't mean it's unreliable, all it means is it is dependent on your virtual machine or your instance continuing to run. Without it, there's no access to the data. There's ephemeral storage, which is the storage that's only available within the instance. And then there's high I/O instances. These are instances that have SSD storage attached to them and are very high performance. Again, that storage is only available within the virtual machine. If you want to present it to multiple virtual machines or share it among multiple virtual machines or instances, the left column doesn't do that. Where we live is at the top right, providing both performance and availability, as well as the unique features you see on the right side. No limit on volume sizing, data encryption, the ability to take RAID levels, the ability to take drive types, be STaaS or SSDs, and complete monitoring, and as I mentioned, NAS before, clustering, high availability across multiple availability zones, and independence of availability zone, which means storage with us, unlike EBS, it can be simultaneously available in multiple AZs.
So, thanks, Doug, again. Thanks, Noam, for the kind of the market overview. So we talked a little bit about where we fit into the market in the scheme of things. Now I want to sort of drill into the product itself, and what I want you to think about is what we did was this team of engineers and sales and marketing folks that have been together for a while. We kind of airlifted a storage area network or a RAID device. We sort of dropped it in the middle of a public cloud, and you're going to see with the demo some of the things that we've been able to do. But I can sum this up, summarize this in 4 words: control, performance, security, and flexibility. What I can do is with control, and in fact, a real interesting use case was that we can do now in less than 5 minutes what it used to take weeks for engineers to go out and install. We can go into our graphical interface, we can buy STaaS drives, SSDs, SATA. We can assemble a RAID controller with the performance. We can put that together in a RAID set. We can basically do all this in under 5 minutes. So now you have your own basically virtual private storage array of VPSA. When I go over to performance, I don't allow any type of multi-tenancy issues in your VPSA. You own the cores that are in the physical servers. You own the cache. You own the disks and the networking or a portion of the networking. So there's no potential of somebody moving into your brand new house and turning the music up real loud. There's no possibility of it being a noisy neighbor because you own the resources. You know, we sort of put a brick wall around the whole thing. And as you want more, you can add more, you can subtract it, you can do things like that. Security is always an issue. That's one of the big issues as we talk to folks. Authentication, chap secret, is just kind of iSCSI tools that allow you to make sure that the server or the instance that you own is actually going to be looking at the storage that you also own. VPNs, dedicated drives, and encryption. There's nobody else who can have their code or their data on your drives. You own them in its entirety, and then on top of that, you can encrypt the data getting to the drive in flight, or you can also encrypt it while it's at rest. So if there's ever a thought that a drive fails and you don't know really where the data went, it's always encrypted. It's there. You own the keys. We don't have them. Amazon doesn't have them. We basically, you have the keys yourselves for the end users out there. And then economic flexibility. We built this from the ground up, specifically for cloud. You pay by the job, by the month. You expand, contract. It's very cloudy. You have complete chargeback and complete cloud economics, and you'll see that in just a moment. So when you're sitting across the table from a PMC, a NetApp, an IBM rep, the things you have to have a conversation with is what kind of a controller performance do I want? So this is just a standard EMC, VNX, I think is the picture here. But what kind of performance controller performance do you need? 5,000 IOPS, 10, 20, 40, that's the number. And then that's going to drive you into sort of how much cache, what's your behavior, things like that. Drive types. I'd like some SSDs for log and journal files. I'd like some SATA for capacity, and I'd like some 15,000 RPM STaaS for performance. So we can basically get the 3 different models in there for that. RAID types, maybe RAID 1, RAID 10, RAID 5, 50, whatever works well with your particular application suite. We always want to talk about the IOs for databases and the latency for online transactional processing. If you've got people with cards that are going to walk up to ATM machines, you need to know how many people can potentially access their data. And then block-based access, NFS access, cluster capable, these are all the things you got to talk about. That's great. That's a great world. That's exactly what we've been doing for 30 years. Why does cloud make this so attractive? The cost of the scan, everybody will admit, it's high. We can do hourly, daily, monthly. We can basically do that in a cloud economic model. We can be very elastic. We can change the control performance, the disks, the RAID. We can do all this on the fly. Modifiable. We can now basically change this as often as you like. We have customers that change every day or weekly or whatever. There's no upfront cost. It's just like I said, the cloud economics model. And then there's no lock-in. There's no potential of having to keep you for 12 and 24 months. We have people come in and out. I got an engineering thing that has to happen for 2 months, and I drop away. Then I come back in 2 months, and I spin it back up again, and I do some engineering for 3 or 4 weeks, and then I drop away, and things like that. So where do we sit in the ecosystem within Amazon or AWS is on the left-hand side in the blue cloud, you're going to see the US East instances. That's where we sit in the Virginia zones. And we're connected. And this 40 gigabit, this is always going up. As we start to attract more customers to the right of the green cloud, we're going to basically monitor. So we never want the network to be the bottleneck. We're going to add, in fact, we just added a couple more pipes to this. So we want to keep everything in tune. You have a tuned instance, you have tuned storage, and then the access between the two is always going to be in tune as well. We won't let, you have to do all your management through an AWS instance. So this isn't, that's another security feature is you really have to be in the cloud to actually access it. Difference between S3 where you can access it from remote desktops or servers. Here it's sort of this combination of a cloud solution that brings us all together. And as you see on the logo here, we're on the Equinix site, so that therefore we're with a lot of other potential customers, or I should say vendors, that talk into the Amazon or AWS cloud, and that's where our infrastructure actually sits. So let me go through, this particular tool didn't offer us to do a real live demo, so I'm going to do a static demo for you. I've put together some screenshots, and hopefully you'll enjoy this, and you'll see sort of this, I think, will put everything into focus for you.
Mm-hmm. And this is Joe. I'm just jumping in. Reminder, if you have any questions, there's a button above the slides that we're presenting that says questions. Hit that button, type in any questions, and we will do our best to answer them at the very end of this.
Perfect. Thank you. And so the first thing you're going to come into is you're going to come into what we call our e-commerce page, and you're going to choose. We right now have 2 different clouds. We have Amazon and Amazon too. And so what you're seeing here is it's as simple as it can be. You're sitting here on your instance or your remote desktop in, of course, and you're going to give it a name. You're going to give it a description. You're going to click on. And how do I know which Amazons? There's going to be a different array of disks on each one of these. So I've chosen Amazon 2. It's our newest one. We have a nice selection of drives. We have STaaS 10,000. We have some 7,200 terabyte drives, and then, of course, some SSDs. In this particular example, I've chosen 3. So I have a 3 terabyte solution here. I've chosen a baby controller. Now, think of this. This is synonymous with your conversation with that EMC rep. I'm not really sure what kind of performance I need. And you say, well, my application needs around, 5,000 IOs per second. Then the baby is your configuration. You can't get it wrong because you can always upgrade from baby to basic to boost to blazing on the fly. So you can basically upgrade as frequently as you wish. To basically change the performance. So this screen is going to lead you into and so what I've done is I showed you a pricing example of 3 drives, but for this particular example, I've chosen 6. And I've already created in this example, if we were doing this with remote desktop and I was actually leading you through here, if we were face-to-face, I would have told you that we've already created 3 drives in a RAID 5 set. It's called RAID 5, 15K off to the right here. I think you can maybe see my mouse, I'm not sure. So the drives are there, and so we purchased 6 of them. I'm also going to show you the RAID, and here's the RAID set, and we're going to go through and create this from the ground up as well. But here's the RAID set that we were just speaking of. It's a 271 gig. It's in a RAID 5 mode. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a RAID set. So here I'm going to go into manual mode, and I'm going to give it a name. And in this particular case, I called it AWS Test. I basically I know a little bit about my application. I know my stripe size. People who have built RAID chassis and they know their application, they'll kind of know, how the computer or how the server talks to storage. And I've selected 16K here as the stripe size. Most small databases would probably be choosing 4K. But, that's something that you might look at as far as a tuning behavior method. And we've selected the 3 drives here that were left. These are the 558 gig STaaS drives. So it's just right. If you've ever done a RAID build, it's exactly what you have done in the past. You basically say, right, first thing is I ordered some drives, I ordered a controller, and now I basically have the drives. I have to start to set up camp here and put this together.
Mm-hmm. And for those who don't want to go into the details, there's automatic mode, which takes the complexity out, allows you to just create pick the size of the bucket or regroup that you want, your preference for space versus performance versus reliability, hit OK, you're done.
Exactly. So this is, the old saying is you don't need a soldering iron to put this together. You can basically do this very easily by going into automatic mode. We don't want everybody to suddenly become RAID gurus, but we do want you to have the radio buttons available to you if you want to sort of get into this technology a little bit more. So now I'm going to show you the RAID again, go back to the RAID set or show the drives, and now we've consumed all 6 of our drives. We have the R5, RAID 5, 15K, and then we have the AWS Test. Each convention becomes also important because you may have 20 or 30 drives, and you may have 4 or 5 or 6 different RAID sets. And when we go into volumes, you may have a lot of different volumes. So when you start to name these things, they'll start to mean something to you. Very different from a traditional RAID where you have LUN numbers and big, long worldwide names and things like that. You don't have to worry about any of that. This is all just things that you've keyed in, and it's very, very easy to manage. That's what clouds are all about, right? Clouds are supposed to be easy to manage, easy to set up, make it happen, do it at a Starbucks. Remote desktop in, and before my latte gets here, I basically created, like I said, what used to take weeks to do. Encryption. We haven't talked a lot about that. We did on one of the setup slides, but here you can turn encryption on from the controller, or you can turn it on for individual volumes. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn it on for the controller. I'm going to type in password, and it's going to generate the encryption key. Don't lose that password. That password is yours. It's not mine. It's not AWS's. It's yours. And if you lose it, you basically are in trouble. So it's that secure. There's no backdoor, there's no way of really getting hold of that. So the encryption code here is very, very something that you have to put a lot of discipline around. Once you've turned it on at the controller level, then when you create a volume, you have the ability to click the little encryption button there on the right-hand side of the screen, but toward the middle. We're going to go through and build a volume, but I just wanted to point out here that each volume can be encrypted. You may not want to encrypt everything, and that's how a lot of encryption codes work. It's all or nothing, and in this particular case, you can do it by volume. The things that are very, very important you can encrypt, and then the things that you don't want to, perhaps you wouldn't encrypt. So let's go ahead and let's show you a volume. And showing you the volume here, we have vol1 R5. So I know that came out of the R5 group. And if I didn't know that, I could look over under the RAID group and see it right there. It's a block device, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. And basically, it's going to be connected to Doug's VPSA. So once again, I'm heading down drives, RAID groups, volumes, all very logically set up. So now let's create a volume. And these are literally, when you download this presentation and you click on the Zadara website, zadarastorage.com, and you sign up for an account, and you start to create your VPSA. These are, if you think about it, these are actual technical documents that can take you through, and you can build your VPSA very easily. So I do recommend you download this attachment and you go ahead and take a look at all this. So back to volumes. You give it a name, you give it a capacity, and then I've got this volume type in a pull-down state. The pull-down state shows that I can do iSCSI, a block, or file system share. So we are NAS as a service, and we're block as a service, and it really can be as individual as volumes. So you can have 6 volumes on the right that are going to NFS shares, and you can have 6 volumes on the left that are going to block and databases and SQL and things like that. So in this particular case, I've chosen to do block. I've decided to get out of the RAID set called AWS test. And basically it says that it's a little over a terabyte volume. You can see when I actually created this slide, we had just created the RAID set. So it's in the process of resynchronizing that RAID calculation to kind of create the protection parity and so forth. So very, very easy. Create a volume. And voila, we now have 2 volumes. We have the vol1 R5 and we have AWS volume test. So very, very easy to do. Controllers. So once again, continuing down the continuum on the left-hand side, if you were to buy a traditional discrete RAID controller, you'd basically have controller A and controller B, active and passive, and watch out for each other in the event of a failure. Exactly the same here. So I'm showing that there's 2 controllers here with their own IP addresses. If something happens, then we basically roll that IP address to the surviving controller. Very easy. Don't have to do a automatic failover, just like you would expect in a high-end RAID system. And we, of course, have full metering. Full metering says, one of the other conundrums that we get into, what we talk to people about all the time, is the ability to sort of figure out where the train left the tracks from a performance or a tuning perspective. So things are great on day 1. Day 10, still good. Add 3 drives, add more RAID, increase the RAID performance, blah, 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 you're going forward. And now pretty soon the performance starts to erode a little bit. Things start to change. Now you can go in every element that we allow you to create or see, drives, volumes, controllers, servers, RAID sets. Every individual element in this environment has its own unique metering capabilities that you can take a look at. So thanks for allowing me to sort of give you a tour of the VPSA and how it's all bolted together. Noam's going to take us through a few use cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Doug. That was really cool. So hopefully you saw how in literally a couple of minutes you can sign up for this and set up your own perfectly private array that's connected to the Amazon Web Services public cloud. And you may be asking yourselves at this point, what is it good for? So I'll go through a few examples of what is being used for in the real world, and give you some other examples. So in terms of actual customers, if you go to our website, you'll see even more. But just to give you three of our existing customers, the National Institutes of Health, which is an existing AWS customer, It's using us for volume sharing. We needed the ability to attach multiple virtual machines to a single volume, and that is one of our unique features. There's no other way to do that in the public cloud. And also, we needed a higher throughput that was available through other storage options. And again, we accepted that. Deloitte is using us for a service that they're providing to their customers that requires Microsoft SQL Server clustering. Again, unique to us is the ability to provide clustering services, which one of the key requirements there is for multiple instances to be able to simultaneously interact, view, and mount the same volume. And they also need us for the ability to grow and shrink storage very rapidly because this is for a service that's provided on a client-by-client basis. As a client joins, they need to create the storage, and when the client ends their project, they need to be able to delete the storage immediately and stop paying for it, and that's exactly what we provide. And of course, privacy is important to mention here, but that separates their clients from each other. Each of their clients wants their data to be completely separate from all other clients' data. This is in structure, also an existing AWS customer. They needed us for data at rest encryption, which Doug covered. Hopefully, you saw how powerful it is for the client or the customer to be able to control his or her own data and know that that data cannot be mishandled or accessed by anybody other than themselves. And also, they needed I/O speed consistency. We do a learning management system for online universities, including Cisco University. They trained Cisco-certified reps, and they needed the ability to deliver the videos to their customers of the online courses in a way that is consistent. So all of them picked us because they needed an enterprise-class cloud storage, which, of course, they needed in the public cloud, and they didn't want to pay an arm's length for it. Some other examples where this is useful, where e-commerce is involved. Doug mentioned before, if you think about ATM transactions, the ability, you don't want the success of a given platform to be its undoing, because when too many users access it, it stops working. We provide highly predictable performance, which is particularly useful in areas like e-commerce. Databases tend to require two things. First, low latency, and the other is concurrent I/Os, because you can have many reads and writes simultaneously to the database. That's our specialty. So low latency and high I/O rates and concurrent I/O are things that we do extremely well. Almost all of our customers are running some kind of database, from traditional databases like SQL, MySQL, Postgres, to new SQL databases like MongoDB. Software as a service. Software as a service is unique in that it's a business, a type of business that has to have the ability to grow very quickly by signing on more and more customers online. What we provide to our SaaS customers is a performance roadmap, which is the ability for them to not only have sufficient performance today with however many subscribers they have now, but also they know that they'll have the performance they need when to grow to 10x or 100x of the number of customers. So if they get to, let's say, 1 million subscribers, nothing will break. Things will keep working just as today. We also have kind of a catch-all use case. If you're using storage in the public cloud today and you're unhappy, is it maybe not enough visibility, maybe not consistent performance, maybe not enough performance? You know, you've reached the upper limit of what the existing solution can provide. We have more performance available above that if you need it. And I'll also mention that with our NFS, or file system share feature that we recently introduced, we're seeing interest from CAD and EDA users looking to the ability to share CAD files among multiple engineers at the same time during projects, especially near the end of projects where there's a lot of activity.
I was talking to actually one of my, I have a Harley Davidson, so I actually had a couple of contacts in there, and they're actually looking at moving some of their CAD and design to the cloud because they want to be able to boost out the amount of storage when they're making a particular widget, and then they want to collapse that in. So they're taking advantage. They're a very forward-thinking type of company, and so they're actually looking at it. So that absolutely prompted our discussion about CAD designs and collaborative type of work and so forth.
So one thing that I'd like to kind of plant in your head, a thought, if you will, is you may be thinking that you're too busy to try out something like this. You may be thinking things aren't that broken today, and so maybe you want to not worry about this for now. So the thought I'd like to plant in your head is that this really provides significant advantages above and beyond existing services. And if you're happy with existing services, by all means, no change. Don't change it. But if there are issues, and like this night you're fighting a war, make sure you look around at solutions like ours and others to see if you can win sooner and more easily. So in other words, give us a chance. You'll really love it.
What we've done in just a few, a short half an hour is we've gone through, I think, a real, life-changing, business-changing type of architecture and product. We have about 5 questions that we're going to cover here in just a moment. So I'm sure that if these people ask questions, I'm clearly certain that you might have the same questions as well. So we'll get right to those. But what we've gone through in the last 31 minutes is showing you that application clustering, high availability at the instance level, the ability to do that for SQL clusters and things like that, gaining this capability to the cloud. Consistent performance and high availability, quality of service for internal and external customers, the ability to have your own drives, your own cache, your own core, your own everything in networking. The ability to do all that is really paramount in the cloud today to kind of break away from the noisy neighbor scenario. User control over storage IOPS. So you can basically offer a larger controller. If you choose the baby controller for cost or price, and you find that you're going into that metering screen that I talked about, and you're seeing that it's clipping at 70 or 80 or 90% consistently, let's throw some more cores at it. Let's upgrade from basic to basic. You'll see those numbers start to drop. You'll see your IOPS start to get better. And now it's going to be this I consider it sort of 2 ladders. You have a leg on each ladder. You're going to add more storage, and then the other leg is going to add more compute, and then add more storage, and you're going to kind of walk up your needs as you grow. You're going to walk up the side of this wall, if you will, by adding whatever resources you need appropriately. So I think that's one of the big differentiators here is you've got full control. And then security always becomes a big issue, and encryption in flight and at rest certainly takes care of that. Combining the best of both worlds. So we have this IT world on the left, and we have this cloud world on the right. And the IT world is really challenged with consistent performance. They've had this for years, 30 years, as long as I've been in the cloud or the storage industry. People have consistent performance. The whole concept of multi-tenancy and single tenants, that question didn't even come up 5 years ago. Nobody even considered it. I own it. It's mine, and it's all good. Configurability was never a question. Reliability, security, none of that really came up. But as we basically move over to the cloud, these issues start to come up. So what we want to do is give you the left side, consistent performance, configurability, reliability, and security. But we want to mix that in with economics, flexibility, the ability to be a very elastic self-service, self-provisioning with complete. If you're an end user on here and you were to sign up with VPSA and you had, let's say you had 10 or 15 instances out there, your different departments, marketing can create their own RAID system without even bothering you. And then you can have a chargeback. We can basically tell you sort of how much you spent on this various things, and we can sort of help you get through some of them. If engineering needs a few more drives, you can basically have them self-provision. All you can do is watch the inventory and making sure that you have purchased enough drives for your constituents within the environment. So it really does start to automate, starts to take that sword out of that knight's hands and starts to give them a little bit better tools to be able to do some of that. Now, what I've done in this, I know this is hard to read, but I know you're going to download this because you can download this just for this slide alone. We've taken this entire presentation, Noam and I have been talking, and we put it on one sheet of paper. One sheet of paper says, this is the value proposition. This is the value to you if you're an end user or customer. These are the people that we think would really get excited, and you can see the target customers. STaaS is certainly a huge part of that and so forth. A little bit about Zadara, and if you forgot who we are, and it's all about, us being in the industry for quite a while and really working side by side for many, many years. Are you impeded by cloud storage, and is that something that you're really interested in? And then some questions. If you're a VP or CEO on this line, I'm assuming that you've got some questions or you've got some concerns about those series of questions. And then if you're a manager, director, or maybe an assistant admin or an individual contributor, these are all the questions that you might have as well. So on this slide, I'm going to leave it right here, and I'm going to go ahead and go down a couple of questions. And so this is for you, Noam. And you were talking about that slide, that map that you did with the software and the hardware. Who do you see your major competitor in the cloud space in general?
The number one competitor by far is the status quo. So that is the on-site service where things are not broken per se, but they're not efficient. There's a lot of hardware involved. There's a lot of caretaking taking place of the hardware, and the reality that could be, if you only get to try, would be the flexibility and cost effectiveness of the Amazon Web Services infrastructure, plus the same, as well as the old advantages that we spent the past half an hour plus describing for the Zadara virtual private storage array service. We see, when Doug and I talk to customers, our toughest challenge is to convince customers to give us the trust. The combined power of the AWS cloud and the virtual private storage array is really amazing. I mean, it's really powerful, and it's effective, and it makes life so easy. And our customers, those that we mentioned and others we haven't mentioned, are so grateful and so happy. They tell us on a regular basis that we save the day, save their bacon, and that's really comforting for us to hear.
I have a customer right now that we're doing a trial, and we'll talk about a trial here in just a moment. I've got the budget. I'm in your camp. We're doing a trial. Everything's looking really, really good, and I'm pulling for you. I'm doing a proposal tomorrow, and I want you guys to win because, A, you've just done a tremendous job of supporting us. We kind of get away from the cloud mantra of self-provisioning or self-serving everything. We're here to help all these customers that we want to onboard and help with. I guess this one's sort of for me. I think I did this slide is it says, you said dedicated drives. Do you actually mean I own my own drives? And the answer is yes. I mean, if we were at a trade show right now, we were talking face-to-face, I have a diagram of a VPSA, and I have stickers. And you literally, I can show you the complete configuration. And the stickers, I hand you, let's say you say to yourself you need 6 drives. So I hand you 6 stickers, and you put those 6 stickers underneath the storage nodes, and you put those 6 stickers on the drives that you want to select. Now, we do that automated. We're not going to let you specifically pick out a drive if it doesn't make sense for performance or availability. But suffice to say, you get to take these stickers and you can put them on, and for an hour, a day, a week, a month, you get to basically be able to own those drives and to give them back. Something you can't do when you order hardware is you clearly can't give back 4 SSD drives that you bought, and you went, oops, I bought too much. What do I do now? You can't give them back. But you do. You do absolutely own these drives. Noam, I think this is for you under use cases. Is there a favorite use case that you are seeing that is attracting themselves to Zadara?
The most common use case among our customers are software as a service companies using some sort of database. As you can imagine, most SaaS providers out there have some kind of underlying database for the service that they provide. Keeps track of their customers, keeps track of the subscriptions that their customers have signed up for, and those databases, as they grow and become, as the companies grow and become more successful, can start slowing down and start having more and more performance issues. And so most commonly we see customers who come to us, can you help us resolve this bottleneck? Can things flow more smoothly with you? And the answer is absolutely yes. And we offer, of course, free trials so that our would-be customers can try this risk-free, make sure that it really does solve the problem before they sign up with us. And, of course, as we mentioned there's no commitment with us. So there's never a lock-in. There's never a situation where you're with us when you don't want to be with us.
Great. And this person writes in that I'm not really technical. This sounds a little bit maybe technical for me. Well, I know using these slides I'll probably be able to get through this, is what you're alluding to. Do you offer onboarding assistance and help? And the answer is yes. We hold your hand all the way through the process. We have a nice onboarding document. We have some wonderful blogs out on the ZadaraStorage.com that you can take a look at, and you can understand this. Literally in a half-hour webinar or maybe a face-to-face call, we can go through it and we can get you onboarded, getting installed with your instances and get this all up and running. So we're showing a lot of the capabilities within the product, but really just anybody that has ever, in the IT industry can certainly get through this technology very, very easy.
And I'll add, if you go to support.zadarastorage.com, you see not only the knowledge base and the forum, but also a phone number, which is available 24/7 for the same reason. We want to make sure that we're there for you, and that phone number is answered by us, not by a subcontractor, but by our engineers. And we're lucky enough to have offices on both sides of the planet, so that we're able to do this. So our engineers, during their daytime, pick up the phone and help you with any issues that you may encounter.
I love this question. It says, I'm ready. Now, how do I do a trial? I would like to purchase a baby in 3 drives or 5 drives. And the answer is go to ZadaraStorage.com. We have a big button that says free trial. You can also go to the sign up and get an account, but the free trial will take you to that same page. The process is you're going to create an account and send you an email to validate that account or activate it. You're going to go back in and log in, and then you're going to have the ability to create your very own VPSA with the right-hand button that says Create VPSA. Select Amazon 2. That's where we have our best selection of drives today, WS2. And then select a baby controller and 3 or 4 or 5 drives. Once we see all that, that will activate our engine on this side, and we will be actively contacting you and helping you onboard. So once again, ZadaraStorage.com, just like my email shows there, and then you'll be able to hit the free trial button and so forth. So with that, we're coming up to our 45 minutes. We wanted to make sure that we were very cognizant of your time. We appreciate your time for the last 45 minutes. I hope this has been very valuable. And Noam, any final words?
Yes. Thank you all for your time. Two last points to leave you with. One is you have our email addresses and phone numbers on the screen, so do reach out if you have any questions or requests for us. And before you close the window, there's a button that says ratings. Please click it and please let us know what you thought of this presentation. We would love to get your feedback.
Thank you so much, and everybody have a great afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you happen to be. Good day.
Great. And thank you, Noam, and thank you, Doug. This is Sherry from AWS. And on behalf of all of us, thank you for joining us today. The content is available for on demand, and we appreciate your time. Have a good day.